What was your name?
David Cramer. Unlike the southern part of Vietnam, we didn't have the rice paddies. We had mountains and elephants, and occasionally they would shoot a tiger. It was quite different than what most people think of when they think of Vietnam. We had a people they called, we called them mountain yards. I think the spelling was Montgards, but the GIs called them mountain yards. And these were the kind of second-class citizens of Vietnam. They were the people that lived out in the bush, up in the mountains. You know, the women went around without tops on. They were kind of primitive, but boy, they were good people. I really enjoyed what time I had around them, and I think most of us did. We respected the mountain yards and didn't always respect the Vietnamese, but we did these people. But you know, for entertainment, we would go to, we had an outdoor theater. Well, we lived in a hooch. Everybody had a hooch where we were, just a wooden building. We worked 7 days a week, about 12 hours a day. We didn't spend any time going to town, not in our company. And I don't think in the 4th Infantry Division either. It was pretty much all business. It wasn't like some of the stories you see or movies that you see about GIs hanging out in town. It wasn't like being stationed in Saigon. It was all business where we were. You know, we on our base camp, we were had, and you probably want this kind of information, we were attacked while I was there twice with rockets. And there was mountains around us, and they would slip in there and fire off a rocket or two at us just to aggravate us, I think, more than anything else. We spent time, I kind of got off the track there, entertainment-wise. Occasionally we'd have a band come from the Philippines, and they would perform live, or we'd have movies. We'd take our lawn chair, go out and sit outside and watch movies, or listen to the bands, drink a lot. They would occasionally have cold beer. It was always Pabst Blue Ribbon. I don't know. No, I take that back. It wasn't always Pabst Blue Ribbon. It was Carling Black Label. Have you ever heard of that? Most people haven't. I don't know who they paid off or how they got a contract with us, but we had this stuff called Carling Black Label. We didn't care as long as it was cold beer. Why, we would just drink up a storm. 2 different times while I was there, we had to go on what they call clean sweeps. And they'd load us, and we weren't infantry guys, we were helicopter people, but they'd load us all on helicopters and take us out into the jungle someplace, and we'd get in a line and make a sweep. We never encountered any of the enemy when we were doing that, but I don't know what their thinking was. In fact, I've never read anything about that. I've often wondered what the purpose of that exercise was. But you know, then we took our turn pulling guard duty. I don't recall how many times I had to do it, but we had to pull perimeter guard on the base camp. They had, you know, concertina wire and the bunkers all the way around the thing, and we'd take turns being on guard duty, which was, we'd never had anything happen. I mean, it was pretty boring, but you know, I guess there's always a possibility that something could happen. I flew as a door gunner several times when they were short door gunners. And that involved taking mail out to these LZs, flying in, dropping off the mail, picking up supplies, had a machine gun that was mounted on a pod here, and you know, whenever they had a new door gunner, they always made sure that they could fire the thing, so they'd take you out and let you shoot it, and that was kind of different. Then I went out a couple times to retrieve helicopters that had mechanical failures, and we flew us out, and we'd fix them right out there wherever they were, and get them so they could fly again. And both times that I went out, we were able to fix the helicopter so it could fly, and got it back without any problems. Then we had another little deal that wasn't so pleasant. They made us go out to this mountain yard village, and it was called Civil Affairs. And we had people that were stationed out there full time. There must have been about a half dozen, maybe a dozen guys. These probably were infantry guys, and here they were. They had this little compound, and it was right in the middle of the mountain yard village. And we'd go out there at nighttime and pull guard duty with these guys. And the second time that I went out there, this was my only combat experience other than the rocket things. This thing was attacked. And in the middle of the night, I was on guard duty at the time. All of a sudden, I see a fire here in the village. And then almost immediately, the whole village is on fire. And then at that point in time, we started receiving small arms fire, and the NVA had set this village on fire because the mountain yards were friendly with the GI, so they were burning down the village. You know, the lieutenant that was stationed there called in helicopter support. So the first thing that showed up was a gunship, a Huey gunship, and he come flying through there with machine guns going, and you know, you talk about friendly fire, the guy was probably shooting 6 foot in front of us. That was something I'll never forget. And then they called this aircraft we called it Puff the Magic Dragon. I've watched it on other occasions, but this one, they started dropping flares above us, and that thing flew around for probably an hour shooting that minigun. During this time, we had a sapper trying to crawl through the wire over on the other side from where I was, and this sergeant that was out there shot him and blew up the satchel charge. So that blew pieces of this person every place. So anyhow, after a couple hours, everything calmed down. The village burned down. The few NVA that were there, and I don't know how many of them there were, they, you know, took up this valley, took off, and the next morning, you know, helicopter came and picked us up, took us back. There were, I think, 2 of us that night that were flown out there, came back and took us back to the base. So that was my big combat experience.